And for more on the PM's Stampede appearance and other political headlines, let's head to Victoria and political consultant Michael Geoghegan. So, Michael, the Prime Minister of Canada finds some time in his schedule for the Stampede. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think he was trying to make up for the accidental omission of Alberta from a speech where he's talking about Canada, and he was able to amend his schedule to squeeze it in after visiting the U.S. governors at Rhode Island. So doing a little bit of damage control there. Absolutely.
Damage control, maybe in another area as well. He's still being asked by reporters about that reported $10.5 million settlement to Omar Khadr. How can his cabinet move past this? Or can they?
Yeah, well, you know, it's going to be interesting. I think the advice I would give is whatever information that tends to suggest that perhaps Omar Khadr was not responsible for that U.S. soldier's death, the widow of which we've heard so much about, that would be politically beneficial to the government. If there are serious questions and misgivings about whether or not that was the case, then they should bring that information forward, not because of the court of law, but because of the court of public opinion. It's also tapped into, a certain well of, Islamophobia and just, frustration with a situation where, we saw Canadian soldiers and American soldiers fighting and dying over there. And then here's someone who, in some way, shape, or form, although as a child was an enemy combatant, and now they're getting a $10.5 million payout. So rankled a lot of Canadians that way.
Absolutely. Something that's going to be coming up very shortly is NAFTA talk being amped up or revamped next week, with the U.S. taking another look at that. Prime Minister in Rhode Island at the U.S. governor's meeting. How do you think that all went down? Was it mission accomplished for the Prime Minister?
Well, first of all, I commend the Prime Minister and his team for getting him down there, getting him to that governor's conference. Vice President Mike Pence was there. And because of Trudeau's presence there, Mike Pence was, in a sense, almost obligated to talk about NAFTA, talk about the importance of the trade relationships, because there's a number of American states where trade with Canada is a major driver of their domestic economy. So for those governors of those American states, it was very important to hear those kind of messaging, which basically says, yeah, we're willing to reopen the negotiations. We want to modernize NAFTA, but we don't want to get rid of it.
All right. And last question to you, Michael, before we head out. The Prime Minister appointing a new Governor General this week, Julie Payette. Your thoughts on that?
Well, certainly if Canadians wanted a Governor General that had a lengthy list of
oh my goodness.
You literally could not get more than what we've got here. I mean, she's an astronaut. She's an electrical engineer. She was one of a handful of Canadians that carried the flag at the Olympic Games. So truly a very accomplished Canadian, fluently bilingual, can also speak Russian and I believe some other languages. So definitely making the rest of us Canadians feel like inadequate.
I'm not going to lie, I felt a little inadequate when I had to read that story this week. And, interestingly enough, positive reaction all around from all parties.
Well, I think there's a certain recognition that this person is breathtakingly accomplished, and then second of all, it's someone who has held various positions of senior responsibility. So and also has a bit of military background, is qualified as in terms of flying jets and whatnot. So all around a great choice, I think, for Canada.
All right, we'll leave it there. Political consultant Michael Geoghegan joining us from Victoria. Thank you.
Thank you.